Welcome back to part 3, the 4 powered provinces of Ireland, brought to you by Energia, sponsors of the All-Ireland League, where each week we focus on an All-Ireland League team and the positive impact they have on their local community and Irish rugby as a whole. Well, I'm not sure if there is another club out there that could boast to have had more of an influence on Irish rugby than this one. The list of current and former players, including Donal Lennon, Donnacha O'Callaghan, Ron O'Gara, Peter Stringer, Dennis Leamy, Peter O'Mahony, Conrad O'Sullivan, Mike Ross, Simon Zebo, Billy Holland, Frankie Sheehan, Tom Kieran, Ralph Keys, John Kelly, Anthony Horgan, Shane Daly, Mike O'Driscoll, Brian Walsh, Michael Bradley, John Fogarty, and last but not least, brother of John, joining us on the show right now, staring me in the face with a big schneery happy head in him. Former Munster hooker and current Cork Constitution forward coach, it's Denis Fogarty. Way! How are you, Fogs?
I'm very good, especially after that intro. What an intro. Thank you. I'm good, man. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
We have to big you up so then we can tear you down.
Yeah.
Right?
Like every other club in the country. To Cork On.
Yeah, I rang my dad there to get a bit of... Give me a bit of dirt on Cork On. And he had no dirt. He said they were a great club. Been very positive. So there you go.
No, they are not, to be fair.
There's a dangerous crew of ex and current players there that you have. Have you had many get-togethers with that crew?
The past crew, every now and again you'd see the likes of, say, Miko and Frankie and Huggy. And to be fair, they're still quite involved up there. You know, they're obviously now their kids are up there training. Frankie's coaching the under 8s, I think, or the under 12s, which is great, yeah. And Huggy and Miko then are bringing their young fellas up there. So it's you meet them occasionally. We haven't had a kind of a good get together since all of this kind of COVID stuff happened. But yeah, no, it's a good club to keep fellas involved and keep the older lads that kind of came through. There's always I suppose kind of an older contingency always there, you know, being involved in the club, whether it be coaching or involved in the underage or even in the background. So they're good like that. So
is there an added pressure when you're, as a coach, you've got the likes of Donal Lennon breathing down your neck?
Yeah, that's it kind of
I couldn't
very
say
much like that.
I couldn't say Huggy or Mick O'Driscoll like breathing down your neck. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck off. Behind me. But it is. It's I think that's what drives it as well, though. Like the likes of Donal Lennon, he is the president for this year. So you know, and when we first met out and, you know, getting together and stuff, he was quite involved in it. So which is good in a way. It kind of, I suppose the players know the importance of it, but they know themselves, you know what I mean? They've been kind of together for 6-7 seasons now, you know what I mean? They're quite settled squad. So there is that added pressure, but you know, I think once you've your work done and your homework done and what you want to do and what you want to achieve, you know, kind of not makes it easier, but kind of lessens the pressure because I think if you go in there, they're a squad that you'd be found out fairly easy or quickly if you went in there and tried to wing it. You know what I mean? As some people do, kind of go, you know, or we used to do in Munster 15 years ago, or do a drill here, and you know, there has to be method to your madness. You know what I mean? Explaining why we're doing a drill and why we're doing this, and you know, so.
Is that driven by the players, or is that driven by the club itself, or how does that work?
I think there's a bit of both, really. Like I remember when at the start of the season, you know, when I was speaking to Brian Hickey about it, and he was the one thing he said to me. He said, just whatever you do, he says, make sure you have your homework done or your work done before you start your session, or before we shoot the lads over to you, you know, for your 15-minute block. Because if you're not ready or if you're not prepared, they will let you know. So, you know, like I said earlier, they've been together, you know, 6-7 years. They've been at the top of the table for the last number of years. So, you know, they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? So there's good players. There's a good mix of fellas that have been in the game, whether it be academies or development contracts, or just being brought in and out of for some of the Magners League games or the Pro 14 games and stuff. So they know what they're talking about. They know how to play rugby. So so
that's annoying though, isn't it? Would you not rather they weren't as good and then you could just play an old game of five-a-side or stuck in the mud sunlight?
I actually did that. It was at times when I did the 20s for the last 2 years, and it was a bit like that, where you could kind of go, you could have a shit week at work or something. You're like, on the Thursday night, you're like, you're driving into the clubhouse and you're like, what the fuck am I going to do tonight? And then you're like, you're daydreaming, or you're on your phone going through YouTube or something. You're like, we'll do this, and they're all kind of going, what? Why are we doing this? It's just, we're just changing it up, just kind of keeping you interested, and you're just going to talk your way out of it, or else
do a lap there.
You're not fucking buying into it here. You're not going to buy into it here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can fuck off. You know what I mean? I've a wife and 2 kids at home. You know what I mean? So either buy into it now and we're going to get it done, or else fuck off. So you could go that way as well, and it kind of gets you out of a bit of the shit. And I'd say, I've done that.
Yeah, we had a moment like that at Ballymena actually. We had there was one night whenever our coach had very obviously only prepared something for the forwards. They were mauling the firsts were mauling the seconds pack up and down, literally maul to halfway, then maul back to the try line, literally up and down. And your man had this moment where he goes, "Oh no, I haven't prepared anything for the backs." And I swear we mauled the seconds back line to halfway.
Brilliant.
Honestly,
this could happen.
Well,
could happen in a game. That's it. You never know where you're going to be needed.
Well, I'd love to see you and Brian Hickey working together, because he coached us in Munster he was probably your first forwards coach, was he? Munster?
Yeah, he was. He was my first coach.
Absolute character, the most obsessed man I've ever met about rugby.
Yeah,
brilliant coach, but the two we used to slag each other more than anything.
Yeah. We kind of got to that stage where there was a little that in between was really hard for me, because I got the brunt of everything that went wrong at training. If it was, I'll never forget it down the back pitch in Cork Con when Munster were training down there at times. We were doing a scrum session, and the scrum was crabbing. It kept crabbing. For some unknown reason, but it came out and he goes, "Fox, it's fucking sort out the fucking scrum." And I was like, what? How the fuck am I going to do? What do you do? Like 21, 22, and literally all these seasoned pros around me. I'm kind of going, it's my fault. And there was a constant thing. Anything that went wrong, it was my fault. And I remember at times I was there. I actually don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I could do this with this man. But we got to that once we got past that. We built up this good relationship. Even to this day, I think we get on kind of well in terms of we balance each other out. And I get him, and I know, I understand him. You know what I mean? Because even when Munster, we got to a stage where I was slagging him off behind his back, or and then he got to the stage where he'd go, "Do me, Fox, do me," in front of everyone. And I'd be like, "All right, okay," and I'd get on the glasses and I'd. What? And I just take him off for the crack, and he used to love it. You know what I mean? Because he had that, I suppose, connection then with the players. That. Yeah. I think we all get that. Do you know what I mean? When you know when to work, and if they're able to take the slagging, that you nearly go the extra mile for them. That kind of way. You're there. This guy gets me. He gets the slagging. He's able to take it. I'm able to take it. And whatever he
loves it. I used to always wonder at you when you're doing. I was looking at you on the bus, going, "Oh my god!" I wonder, is he terrified that they're making him do all these impressions of all the coaches?
There was times when I looked down the bus, and it was like half the bus. There was all, and most people were like this. Fuck! I don't think he's like fuck. He's in there thereabouts. He's not really always playing. I don't know if he should be doing this. So it's like and at the time you're like, I was just looking at everyone laughing. I was there. This is brilliant. I'm fucking loving it. The lads, yeah. But like, when I look back at it now, you're like, fuck.
Oh, your kidney impression was absolutely spectacular. Like,
oh God, there was a.
What did he? How did he make?
There was a number of them. I actually don't know how well he because I did one behind his back. It was really, really bad. Well, at the time it was because I went to we went. It was one or two of us went to an international game, and remember those O2 boxes, the O2 Angels. They were down, and it was a room before you go to the game, and it was like free drink. Like for most of that morning, you get your meal and everything, and there was a load of other people there, so there was a great buzz going on. And then obviously the game started. You can come in at half time, and then you had more drinks, and there was more chatting and stuff. And then obviously when after the game, they'd get Des Cal would come in on stage, and 3 players would come in, and they just interview them. But obviously it was I think it was Paulie. Quinny and Smith. I can't remember the other player, or maybe it wasn't Quinny then. He was well gone, and they were doing their interview anyway, and they could see I was down in the crowd, and I was obviously enjoying myself with someone else, and a big red head of me from the whole day of socialising and stuff. They were like, "Oh, shall we get Fogs up to do Decky?" And literally without a fucking. I didn't even stop. I literally went, yeah, all right, no bother. Like, out of the way. Right, Des, ask me anything. And I literally, I just went on about, yeah, you know, and like, you tell me, you know. So it was like, I just went on full, like in a full fucking mock of the Irish coach. Can you
drop Trimby for me there as Decky? Can you tell Trimby that he's not playing? That who's playing this today? Luke Fitzgerald.
Let me tell you, I'm very well positioned.
Can you
tell you whether that's accurate or not?
Okay. Can you do that for me, please,
yeah,
Fogs?
If I can remember well, I there's situations, and I'm sure you probably know Trimby now. You'd be like, you go into him and you're like, well, how are you? You know, and you know, how do you think you went? Well, you know, we're, you know, this weekend we're you know, you won't be playing. You know, we're going to go with we'll go with Lukey. You know, I just thought he was doing really well, and you know, not saying that you didn't do well, but it was just the way, you know, that selection went, and you know, but that's not saying you won't get back in next week. You know, so
what do I have to do, Decky? How do I get back into this team, Decky? What do I need to do different?
Well, you tell me. Yeah, like you tell
I'm trying
me,
my
like,
best, Decky.
Yeah, well, I know that, I can see that, but you know, but you know, we'll go through that. Maybe you'll go through that with the other coaches and stuff, and you can ask them. But you know, we're just going with that different dynamic this week, you know. And I think that's how his team talk. Like, was that kind of like it? Because I remember going out of it. I think, Baz, you might know as well. You come out of a meeting, you kind of go, "What the fuck do I? What do I have to do? What do I have to do?" And you're like, I don't know if I can, you know, what the, you're just lost. And then you're like, and it's like, there's at times when you're like, am I on the bench? You know, you're there kind of going, you don't even know, you know.
Yeah, because he spoke so positively about me. I must be starting, surely. Yeah. And then you look at your watch and you've been in there for an hour. And you go, what was said? There wasn't an hour of a conversation there. It went on for, this happened to me numerous times, by the way. And like maybe 20 minutes into it, I went, okay, Decky. And Decky goes, well, it's not really okay, is it? I was like, I know, but and then that like sparked up a conversation again. And then literally 20 minutes later, then I would go, all right, Decky. And he goes, well, it's not really all right either, is it? It's like, how does this conversation end? How do I get out of this room?
And you still get out of the room and go, I still don't know what I did, what I have to do, or if I'm on the bench.
Do you remember the time Fogsy came out and from behind a projector one day, and he sat on your lap and started kissing your face with a little little water pistol and started squirting people.
That was because he probably fucking dropped me the week before. He was there trying to have the crack with me. It's all right, Fonz, you know. We're good old mates.
No, but what was going on? He was trying to. What did he say? Brian Hickey was continuing on his chat, and then Decky goes. Everyone was like, "What? You were?" I just remember you roared laughing, like rubbing him up and stuff. And then he goes, "Can anyone tell me one thing that Brian Hickey has just said?" And we were all like, "No." And he's like, "There will be distractions on Saturday from the crowd."
Yeah,
and you have to be aware of these distractions and stay focused.
Get their attention.
Genius.
It was
David Brandt.
Yeah.
It was.
Anyways, do you use any of these tactics? Do you do any of the dropping in Cork Con or
no? Thankfully, yeah. So all done by Brian, and to be fair, he's very thorough like that. He's very much like I don't think he's ever changed since pro, which is great in a way. Like I love it, you know, because he's very
well. You've got such, as you said, such. Half of those players have been professional or should be professional or will be. So it's you have to kind of treat that like a very professional environment, don't you?
You kind of do and you don't. I think that it's trying to find that balance because it's really important that they have the crack as well, you know, and there's a bit of fun, you know, because they don't want to, you know, like you say, a big day, a big week at work and they're, you know, their kids are wrecking their heads or they're up late and, you know, or whatever. And they're coming on a Tuesday or Thursday night and they're just, it's all really serious and stuff. So it's really finding that balance. I remember speaking to the senior players when I first came on board at the start of the season. And that was one thing they kind of said to me. They were like, you know, I kind of gave my piece of what I'd like to do and, you know, what I'd like to bring. And then they were like, look, yeah, great. But they were like, just don't forget, Fogs, we're not a professional team. We want to enjoy what we're doing and have the crack and go for our pints and, you know, and at times knowing when to have the crack at training, like, you know what I mean? But then again, you don't mind doing that because, you know, even at training, there's a certain element, they'll actually drive the standards at the training session. You know what I mean? They don't take shit. So, which makes it easier for us, I suppose. But, yeah. So
brilliant.
Fox, did you coach whenever you finished? Did you finish in Agen and then did you coach there or did you move?
No, I moved.
Provence?
So I went to Provence, yeah. So I went down to Provence Rugby and I finished there and I did the academy there for 2 years. So I was about 2 weeks before I actually was getting the boat back home to Ireland, and the president came to me and he said, look, we'd really like you to take over or to get into our academy and start coaching there. And when he asked me, I kind of went, oh, Jesus, there was an element where I kind of go, this might be a good opportunity to dip my toe into professional coaching. So first year was kind of, I did it and I was probably, I was still in the kind of a mindset, I was still gutted that I'd retired through injury and it was quite abrupt and I was still in a headspace where, you know, I felt like I should be still playing and, you know, all the stuff, the shit that comes with finishing up.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
What I mean?
It's a tough period, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, so I kind of, I was probably, didn't know anything, you know, I was all over the place that year. And then the second year was slightly better. And, but then knew after that year that I never wanted to do professional coaching because it was just consumed my life. You know, we'd small kid and I was away all the time. I was, you know, there was days where I could be in from 8 and home at 9, like, and then you're away on a Saturday and then you're getting stuff ready on a Sunday to be back in on a Monday. And it was just, and it's a bit thankless, that academy stuff. It's just, it can, especially over there, you know what I mean? Where they invest so heavily in their pro team. And it's there's elements where they have it in place just to meet criteria. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of that they're making sure that there's no obvious pathway exactly
for lads coming through, you know, because they're just going to buy someone in.
Exactly, and it's a bit like that. You go to them and say, "Look, this guy, we could do this," and they're like, "Are you fucking joking me? No, I can buy this guy. We're not going to invest. We can't waste our time here. We need to stay in Pro D2 now for the next 2 years." And then we can move forward with our academy and stuff. So, But even still, I just felt like the full-time coaching is a huge sacrifice, especially with a young family, you know what I mean? So, and it was just something I wasn't ready to do. I'd already kind of moved out to France with them, and I just thought it was time to kind of get home and get a bit of support as well with the kids and stuff. Because another thing what I found when I retired is that you then have kind of, in a nice way, you've no friends, you know, because you know the way when you go to train, you've like 30 mates. And then when you retire, you're like nobody. And then in France, they're like changing. There's about 12 changes of players every season. And I knew about 6 of them. But then again, I worked at different hours. They, you know, as a professional sportsman, you've set hours when you go home and you do whatever. So you'd never see them. And then obviously they're not ringing me to go for lunch or dinner or for pints. You know what I mean? So it's it kind of instantly became kind of real. And I was like, what the? You know, if you're at home, it's a bit different that you can. There's people around the area who've already kind of maybe retired or, you know, or whatever. So it's it was quite abrupt and quite Jesus, daunting on me at the time. So, but then
nice part of the world though to be.
Yeah.
Well, not nice part of the world to be that busy, because obviously maybe you didn't get to experience it, but it's supposed to be beautiful down there.
Yeah, no, it is. That I was going to say was that was the other side where it was so lovely that where we were so lucky to finish up in such a beautiful part of France, and we kind of made it our business that like every free weekend or nearly every weekend that we try and drive off somewhere. Like we were, you know, even in our whole time in France, we were skiing. We drive to, when we were down in Provence, we drive to Italy some weekends, and because it's only, you know, 2 hours away, and there was a load of other places where you could drive to and stuff. So it was, in that sense, it was really, really lovely to experience all that side of all that's end of France, I suppose. So. That was a kind of a silver lining, I suppose. So,
and how's it been settled down in Cork now? Are you loving being back? You get your toe in the water with the coaching as well, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I'm enjoying being back. It's much easier now that I'm out of the game now. Nearly 4 years. So there is that 2 years or 3 years. Even the first year when I came back, it was still kind of. You're still, you know yourself, you're like, you're either fucking, there's regrets or there's things you might should have done differently or this, that and the other, and you're like, oh Christ, I shouldn't have slagged them. Why did I fucking slag them? Maybe I would have got capped. You know, but no, you're just like you're there kind of going through your career and the struggles that kind of were in the career. But then when you get away from it, and when you peel it all back, because I suppose when my first year when I came back, then I thought I was on top of everything. Like I was 6 months before I was coming home, I sent out like CVs, was meeting people and everything. I spent a year minding my kids, man, because I kept getting rejected. They were like, no, going for a job interview, they were like, no experience. I was there. What? I was there. Even fucking kids are old, man. They're fucking wrecking my head. What do you mean, no?
Please, I'll do anything.
So I literally, and that's it, coming back to the club. The club were brilliant, and they got me a job, man, and the job I'm in now. So they got it for me. I came
really?
back. And
so it's
yeah. I went to, like, to be fair, Rugby Players Ireland were brilliant as well. It was just meeting a load of people, but nothing came of it. And the club got me in. They were like, right, look, one thing's for sure, you're coaching the 20s. And he said, look, we've someone now. You're going to meet up with him, and they're going to sort out a job for you. And they sorted me out a job, man, and I'm still in it. I'm still in the job. So yeah, I think that's where I love the part of the club and the whole club scene. I'm loving. It was actually a way of being plugged back into. I was away for 6 years, so it was a way of being plugged back into Cork as well, through connections, through meeting people up there, and you know, and obviously meeting new people again, because you know yourselves, when you come out of the game, like I felt like my only friends were in fucking the fellas I played with. You know what I mean? So coming back here, it was like a nice way of meeting new people and to socialise with different people, and you know what I mean. So it's that's where I think the club is brilliant. You know what I mean? So in both ways, they were brilliant for when you're starting out and getting to where you want to get to. and then obviously they're still there for when it all, when you get back into something different, or even just go up there. And so
socialise. And geez, I mean, those days out in Con, I remember playing a lot of games down there, and it was a lovely club to go to. Obviously a tough place to go to play, but you could sense the history there, and there's a lot of respect there, and a lot of the former players always floating around. And I had some great games down there. Trimby, did you ever play down there?
Yeah, we played for Ballymena. I played a couple of times, and there was some bald winger with the socks down, pure GA fella, and he had an Irish flag gum shield.
Yeah. It
And he
pissed
tore
off
us apart.
the entire country at some point in his life.
I think so.
Everybody knows about this fella.
Yeah, literally. I think he pissed off everyone. That's why everybody hates Cork Con.
Because of him.
I swear to God, you're 100% right. Yeah, there was one game I actually went. Now I know. I was there. You're a dickhead. You're a dickhead, because we were beating a team. We were beating him well, and he ran. I think he ran half the pitch, right? And what he did, rather than putting the ball down or against the post, he left it on the pad and fucked off and cheered. I swear to God. And it was obviously disallowed because there's only that much of the thing. But he left it on it and went off fucking cheering. And I literally remember looking at him and going, "You're a dickhead." That's dickhead. So
Yeah.
So, but you're right. Yeah.
Is he still involved?
No. He went off to Australia, I think.
Oh, did
So yeah. But it is there. I must say that there is a great social side to the club. You know what I mean? There always is someone, an ex-player, or there's always something going on up there. You know what I mean, in the club. So it's lucky in that sense. You know what I mean? Because I don't think every club has that kind of the social element to it. You know what I mean? Or even having a bar. There's clubs that don't even have that. So we're lucky in that sense.
Yeah. Well, look, hopefully we'll come out the other side of this in the next few months to the vaccine and get back to some AL rugby, and we could do it a night out in Cork, couldn't we, lads?
Oh yeah. We get you down
we'll
here.
Look you up. We'll be your friends, Fogs.
Yeah. Be great.
Have a big reunion. Get that bald fella with the socks
we
down.
get him off. Yeah.
Beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. Beat the fucking way, you dickhead.
All right, Fogs. Look, man, thanks so much. We came full circle there, and we got to see exactly how positive the club can be in the community. So we've done our job. Thanks a million for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. Happy New Year to you.
Many happy returns. Good to chat. Speak to you soon.
Stuff, Fogs. Cheers.
Mind yourselves. Good luck.
Well, that was enjoyable.